James, Susan, I'm really sorry about today. I'll make sure to give that boy a good talking to when we get back.
I'm truly ashamed, Robert, Mary. Please accept my apologies.
Spare me. Your son acts so high and mighty, as if my daughter couldn't find anyone else to marry and has to beg to join your family.
Michael and I had been dating for 5 years, and his parents were getting anxious. So we decided to get married this year. Today was the day our parents were supposed to meet and discuss the wedding details. Both families waited at the hotel for 3 hours, but to our surprise, Michael, the main character of the day, was nowhere to be found.
Where's Michael? He didn't answer his phone, didn't reply to messages, and no one could reach him.
Let's go.
Mary, usually a kind woman, had a dark expression today and dragged me away. Her grip was strong, and my wrist hurt. Back at the hotel, my parents were still furious.
Dad, Mom, don't be angry. Michael must have been held up by something.
What could be more important than meeting both families? That boy isn't sincere. Take this chance to call it off.
Dad! Please, no!
I had liked Michael since high school and had worked hard to be with him. Now that we were finally getting married, I didn't want to give up. Besides, I knew Michael. He was a responsible person and wouldn't disappear without a word for no reason. I felt a growing sense of worry. After leaving my parents, I caught the bus home. As I swiped my card and sat at the back, I opened my phone and saw a message from Susan apologizing.
It's okay, Auntie. My parents aren't angry anymore.
After replying to her, I was about to close my eyes and rest when I received a message from my college roommate, Emily, asking me to check Jessica's social media. My heart tightened. The name Jessica had been a thorn in my side for years. Every time she was mentioned, I felt on edge, fully alert. She was Michael's first love, his unforgettable muse. The 3 of us were high school classmates. They were the perfect couple, while I was the unnoticed girl in the corner. They easily got into prestigious universities, while I struggled to get into an unpopular major. In our 3rd year of college, Jessica excelled in her major and was given the opportunity to study abroad, leading to her breakup with Michael. I took the chance to get closer to Michael. As I thought about the past, I opened Jessica's social media. Her latest post was just a photo with the caption "Long time no see." My heart skipped a beat, and a sense of unease filled my mind. I clicked on the photo. She was smiling brightly, and Michael's gaze was fixed on her, tender and affectionate. Michael had never looked at me that way. When he looked at me, his gaze was calm and deep. I should have understood long ago. I had seen how he loved someone else, and I should have known he never loved me. Tears fell silently. Realizing this, my heart ached, a feeling I couldn't describe spreading within me. The pain made it hard to breathe.
Lily, are you okay?
Emily called me just in time. I wanted to speak, but no words came out, only tears streaming down my face. Tears blurred the screen. Looking at his distant face, I suddenly felt I shouldn't love him anymore. Narrator, tone, sad. Emily called my name several times on the other end of the line, clearly worried.
Emily, don't worry, Lily, you.
Lily, tone, sad, I'm fine.
Narrator, tone, sad. I wiped my face and spoke with a sob in my voice. I was afraid I would break down and cry out loud, so I quickly hung up. I rolled down the car window as far as it would go, letting the wind whip across my face. It dried my tears and made my eyes sting. The pain also made me more clear-headed. Narrator, tone, serious. Half an hour later, I arrived at the small apartment Michael and I shared. It wasn't really a home, it was just a place we rented together, close to his company. It wasn't far from my company either, just a half-hour drive. I looked at the lit window upstairs and suddenly smiled. Michael was already back, but he hadn't sent me a single message.
Lily, tone, sad. Mary was right. From beginning to end, Michael never really valued me.
Narrator, tone, sad. I smiled bitterly, walked upstairs, and unlocked the door with my key. When the door opened, Michael had just finished his shower and was coming out of the bathroom. He saw me and acted as if nothing had happened, his tone indifferent but with a hint of apology.
Michael, tone, indifferent. Sorry, Lily, something came up today.
Lily, tone, sarcastic. I called you many times and sent many messages.
Michael, tone, indifferent. My phone died.
Lily, tone, sneering. Really? A high-end restaurant without a place to charge your phone?
Narrator, tone, serious. Michael's eyes widened in surprise as he looked at me.
Lily, tone, sarcastic. Something came up, and you had to have dinner with your ex-girlfriend, but you forgot today was the day our families were meeting to discuss our wedding?
Narrator, tone, serious. I think my tone must have been quite sarcastic, otherwise, Michael's face wouldn't have looked so bad.
Michael, tone, defensive. Jessica and I were just.
Narrator, tone, angry. Before he could finish, I had already walked into the bedroom and slammed the door shut. I didn't want to hear his explanation at all. From the moment he came back without sending me a message, I felt nothing but despair about this relationship. Despair to the point where I didn't even want to question or get angry with him. I looked around the room, from the curtains to the desk to the bed, all arranged according to his preferences. Living here for so long, the thought of leaving made me feel a bit reluctant. I didn't have much to take with me. Half an hour was enough to pack everything. Narrator, tone, serious. When I opened the bedroom door again, Michael was sitting on the sofa. He stood up and stared at the suitcase in my hand, his face darkening.
Michael, tone, angry. Lily, what do you mean? It's just a meal. Is it worth this? Are you really going to leave?
Lily, tone, tired. I'm not making a fuss.
Narrator, tone, sad. I suddenly felt tired and smiled at him.
Lily, tone, sad. When have I ever made a fuss to get your attention?
Narrator, tone, sad. In this relationship, I was sensitive and insecure. I had tried to be playful with him, but he said it wasn't like me. He said he felt comfortable with me, quiet and undemanding, and told me not to imitate others. I thought he saw the good in me and had started to like me. But now I understand, he meant I wasn't like Jessica, and he didn't want me to imitate Jessica. It turns out being playful is a privilege of being loved. Narrator, tone, serious. Michael fell silent. I pulled my suitcase past him and stopped at the door.
Lily, tone, serious. I'll explain to my parents. You can explain to yours.
Michael, tone, frustrated. Lily, what are you trying to do?
Narrator, tone, serious. Michael stepped forward and grabbed my hand, forcing me to look at him. His eyes were red. It was strange. Anyone who didn't know better might think he actually liked me. My eyes hurt. Before the tears could fall, I forcefully pulled my hand away and said, word by word.
Lily, tone, serious. As you wish. We're breaking up.
Lily!
Michael reached out to grab me, but I slightly turned away, avoiding his touch.
Don't do this.
I calmly said, let's part on good terms. Michael stood there, stunned, unable to believe it. Indeed, I found it hard to believe too. I never thought I would one day break up with Michael so calmly. And it was me who initiated the breakup. I pulled my suitcase and walked out. Once downstairs, I called Emily. I had nowhere to go, so I temporarily stayed at her place. By the time I arrived at Emily's house, it was already early morning. Exhausted from the day, I fell asleep immediately. The next morning, when I woke up, I found that Michael had sent me many messages. The last one told me to stop making a fuss, and if I went back, he would pretend he hadn't heard what I said yesterday.
Why did he think I was making a fuss? Why did he think that just by beckoning, I would come back to him like a loyal pet?
Raising an eyebrow, without much hesitation, I deleted and blocked all his contact information. After doing this, I briefly mentioned the breakup on my social media. Many classmates and friends asked me what happened, but I didn't respond. However, Charles commented,
"Breaking up is good. He doesn't deserve you."
Charles was my high school deskmate. Although he was the top student in our grade, his introverted personality and frail, short stature made him almost invisible. Back then, it was his tutoring that allowed me to attend the same university as Michael. I didn't reply to him, pretending not to see it, and then asked my boss for leave. After approval, I returned to the hotel and informed my parents about the breakup. Mary patted my hand, wanting to say something but stopping. I knew she felt sorry for me.
That boy doesn't deserve you.
This sentence was quite similar to what Charles had said.
Daughter, why don't you come back home with us?
It's fine here. I really like this job. Don't worry, if I can't handle it, I'll definitely come back.
After having lunch with my parents, I sent them off. After they left, Emily called me, inviting me to a bar to celebrate my return to singlehood. I drank heavily. No matter how calm I pretended to be, I couldn't deny that I was very upset. I picked up a bottle and kept drinking, thinking that maybe only this way could I feel a bit better.
Lily,
I seemed to hear someone calling me.
leave her be. Let her drink. She'll feel better once she's drunk.
Will getting drunk really make things better? In my days, I suddenly saw a handsome face, and he seemed to be looking at me too. He looked somewhat familiar.
Hey handsome, want to drink with me?
The man raised an eyebrow, his Adam's apple moved slightly, and his pleasant voice sounded in my ear.
Lily, how much have you had to drink?
I blinked. How strange, how did he know my name? And calling me Lily, the only person who called me that since childhood was.
Ugh.
My stomach suddenly felt uncomfortable, and I couldn't hold back, vomiting right on him.
Ugh.
After throwing up, I felt slightly better and a bit more clear-headed. Looking up, I saw a face as dark as thunder, his black eyes staring at me resentfully.
Charles? What a coincidence.
Quite a coincidence.
Narrator, tone, serious Charles spoke with a hint of helplessness. He glanced at me, then at his suit. It was covered in sour liquid, and the smell. It was quite unpleasant.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry, handsome. My friend just went through a breakup. Please don't hold it against her.
It's okay.
Narrator, tone, serious Charles shook his head, took off his jacket, and put it aside.
Lily, it's 1 a.m. Why aren't you home yet?
You two know each other?
High school classmates.
3 years as deskmates.
Oh.
Narrator, tone, shy Emily's eyes sparkled with curiosity. I glared at her.
Well, deskmate, our Lily is drunk. Could you please take her home?
Sure. I'll make sure she gets home safely.
Narrator, tone, shy. Before I could refuse, the two of them had already made arrangements. However, it had been a long time since I drank so much, and I wasn't feeling well. So I didn't refuse and followed Charles out of the bar. Narrator, tone, serious. As the wind blew outside, my head seemed to hurt even more. Charles's car was parked just a few steps away. He opened the door and helped me inside.
Thank you.
Narrator, tone, shy. Just as I was about to say thank you, he suddenly leaned in close, and the faint scent of mint filled my nose.
Thump.
Narrator, tone, shy. I clearly heard the sound of my heart beating. I was startled for a moment. Before I could react, he had already closed the door. I then realized he was fastening my seatbelt.
Drink some water, it might make you feel better.
Thank you.
Narrator, tone, serious. I took the water, feeling a bit hesitant, took a small sip, and quickly gave him Emily's address. We didn't speak again on the way, and it felt like we were back in high school during evening study sessions, with him sitting by the window, quietly doing his own thing. Always silent, always serious. Narrator, tone, serious. Charles had changed a lot. He was much taller and more muscular than before. His facial features were more defined, making him look more three-dimensional and attractive. If I hadn't seen his current appearance on social media, I might not have recognized him.
We're here.
Narrator, tone, serious. Charles's voice interrupted my thoughts. I responded with an "oh," opened the door, and got out.
Ah.
What happened?
Narrator, tone, serious. Charles hurriedly got out of the car and rushed to my side, looking worried.
It's swollen. I'll take you to the hospital.
No need! I don't want to trouble you. It's not serious. I'll just apply some ointment.
Narrator, tone, serious. Charles's expression suddenly darkened. He glanced at me and said coldly,
You didn't think it was a bother when you pestered me for tutoring back then.
Narrator, tone, serious. I was speechless for a moment.
Never mind. Which floor do you live on?
4th floor.
Narrator, tone, serious. Charles squatted down, his posture leaving no room for refusal. I hesitated for a while but eventually climbed on. Although it was only the 4th floor, there was no elevator, and with my twisted ankle, I couldn't climb the stairs.
Thank you.
Narrator, tone, serious. After just a few steps, Charles suddenly stopped. I looked up in confusion and saw Michael's sullen face.
Lily!
Narrator, tone, terrified. Michael's voice was drawn out, his eyes red with anger. He shouted at me furiously.
Who is he? So this is why you suddenly wanted to break up with me. You found someone else. Lily, can't you have some decency?
My nose suddenly tingled. I stared at Michael's face, feeling a sudden sense of defeat.
Even raising a dog for 5 years would create feelings, let alone loving him with all my heart for 5 years. But he looked at me like this.
At this moment, I completely let go of the last bit of affection I had for him.
Put me down!
I gritted my teeth and told Charles to put me down. He hesitated for a moment, then carefully squatted down. Standing on the ground, my foot hurt intensely, but I gritted my teeth and endured it.
Be careful.
Charles stood up and supported me, and only then did Michael notice my twisted ankle. I saw a flash of regret in his eyes.
Come home with me.
Michael!
I couldn't break free from his grip, and a trace of anger appeared in my eyes.
We've already broken up.
I didn't agree.
When Michael was angry, his eyes widened, but looking at my indifferent gaze, he seemed a bit uneasy. Then he reproached.
We've reached the point of discussing marriage, and now you're breaking up with me? What am I supposed to tell my parents?
Michael, stop making a fuss. Come back with me, and I'll pretend the past few days never happened.
I lowered my eyes and curled my lips into a slight smile.
You still don't understand. I'm not making a fuss, Michael. I just don't love you anymore. I admit, I used to love you very much, even thinking I couldn't live without you. But this one-sided affection ends here.
After saying those words, her heart ached, yet she felt a sense of relief.
Thinking, humans are truly contradictory beings.
Michael's expression seemed somewhat hurt, his face gradually turning grim, but before he could speak, Charles interrupted him.
Jessica is over there.
Lily followed his gaze. From the beginning, she had sensed someone there, thinking it was a passerby, but it turned out to be someone familiar. Jessica walked over to Michael with composure and smiled.
Long time no see.
When she looked at Lily, there was hostility in her eyes. Lily didn't say anything, instead, she looked at Michael, whose gaze was fixed on Jessica. Noticing her look, he finally withdrew his gaze, a flicker of guilt crossing his face.
Let's go.
Charles picked Lily up again. This time, Michael didn't stop him. Lying on Charles's back, she thought she would be calm, but she couldn't help but sob. He walked slowly, seemingly giving her time to vent her emotions. What should have been a short walk took a long time. At the door, Charles asked for the key, easily opening the door.
Where's the medicine?
Thank you, I need some time alone.
Okay.
He was silent for a few seconds before replying. He glanced at her, then turned and closed the door. Lily sat on the sofa, memories of Michael and her flashing through her mind, and she gradually fell asleep. In a daze, she seemed to hear the door opening, someone coming in and applying medicine to her feet. It was cool and somewhat comforting. She rested at home for 3 days. During these 3 days, she wasn't idle, she found a place close to the company, reasonably priced. On the moving day, Emily somehow got Charles's number and asked him to help. A month passed, her life was plain, occasionally feeling empty, but overall comfortable. One day, just after work, she received a call from Susan.
Lily, Michael is in the hospital. Please, can you come see him?
Auntie, I'm not a doctor. If he's unwell, he should see a doctor.
Lily, you can't be so heartless. I know Michael wronged you, but he explained he was delayed by something. He's now in the hospital because of you, intoxicated, and has been suffering all day. My heart is breaking.
Lily frowned, thinking Michael would have told his parents the reason for their breakup, but he had kept it hidden.
Please, I'm begging you.
Lily felt a bit helpless, but she knew some things couldn't be avoided. After getting the address, she hung up and took a taxi to the hospital. When she arrived, Michael was already awake.
Lily, you're finally here.
Susan warmly held her hand, her eyes swollen from crying. Michael's eyes lit up with surprise when he saw her.
Lily, you came to see me.
Yes.
She nodded lightly, feeling a bit emotional. Michael's eyes reddened.
I thought you wouldn't come. Lily, I knew you loved me. You still want to marry me, right? Without you, I realized how important you are to me.
Michael said a lot, but Lily didn't respond, just listened. Susan, thinking there was a chance for reconciliation, happily said,
You young people talk, I'll step out.
No need, Auntie.
On the way here, Lily had messaged Jessica, and she should have arrived. Sure enough, just as she finished speaking, Jessica hurried in with some items. As soon as she entered, the atmosphere in the room grew heavier, and Susan looked puzzled.
Auntie, Michael disappeared that day because he was on a date with her.
In an instant, their faces changed. Jessica glared at Lily, and Michael remained silent. Susan was both angry and ashamed. Lily thought she understood.
Then I'll leave now, Auntie.
She politely said goodbye and calmly walked out of the room.
Lily!
She heard Michael calling her name. Then she heard the sound of him getting out of bed, followed by Jessica and Susan's anxious voices. It seemed chaotic, but her heart was surprisingly calm. She took a taxi back to her small apartment, ready to open the door when she heard a commotion and screams from the neighboring unit. Curious, she saw the door suddenly open, and a man rushed out, covered in dust.
Charles? Did your place explode?
But she was more curious about why he lived here.
There's a cockroach!
Charles, too flustered to joke, looked terrified, and Lily burst into laughter.
Ha ha ha. I never expected a 6-foot-tall man to be afraid of a cockroach.
In high school, during summer, some classmates would leave food in their desks, attracting cockroaches. Back then, he was short and made people want to protect him, so she was the one who dealt with the cockroaches. She rolled up her sleeves and went in, easily killing the cockroach and thoughtfully throwing it into the trash. When Charles came back in, she saw him visibly relax.
Have a seat.
He turned and poured her a glass of water. She took a sip and curiously asked,
Why are you living here?
He hadn't mentioned it when he helped her move. Charles's handsome eyebrows raised slightly, his eyes bright, looking at her with undisguised admiration. She was stunned for a moment, a premonition rising in her heart, so she quickly stood up.
Well, I should go back.
As she was about to leave, Charles stood up too, blocking her way. He looked at her seriously, smiling lightly.
Lily, being close to the water, you get the moon first. What do you think?
In high school, although Charles and I were desk mates, we hardly interacted. He was a quiet person, and I was an insecure one. It wasn't until our senior year that I overheard Michael and Jessica's conversation. They had planned to attend a school that was far beyond my academic reach. So, I turned my attention to Charles, pestering him to tutor me.
Lily, listen, I'll explain it again.
That year, my grades improved rapidly, and I started to receive some attention. Senior year, a time of youthful innocence and budding emotions, many people speculated that Charles liked me. But I didn't pay attention, thinking Charles felt the same. Now that I know his feelings, I'm somewhat surprised, yet it seems reasonable.
I'm sorry. I'm not ready to start a new relationship.
I had invested too much energy in my relationship with Michael, and now I just wanted to rest.
I understand. But that doesn't stop me from pursuing you, right?
I was taken aback. Charles's straightforward affection left me momentarily speechless, and I quickly lowered my head and slipped away. Back home, Charles's serious expression kept replaying in my mind, and I quickly patted my face. The next morning, just as I got up to wash, I received a message from my boss.
Don't return to the company for now. Handle your personal matters. Don't tarnish the company's reputation. Otherwise, we won't keep you.
I was bewildered, not understanding what had happened, but a vague sense of unease settled in my heart. Just as I was about to ask, an unknown number called.
You homewrecker. How dare you live with yourself? Disgusting.
Are you sure you have the right person?
Are you Lily? Yes, I'm talking to you, you shameless woman. Didn't your parents teach you any manners? Stealing someone else's boyfriend makes you proud? Do you have some psychological issues? Disgusting.
I had never received such malice before, and her words left me stunned, tears welling up in my eyes.
Lily? Are you home? Lily? Open the door.
The knocking and shouting outside were incessant. Hearing the noise, I snapped back to reality and quickly hung up the phone. But as soon as I hung up, other numbers started calling. I didn't answer any of them, but during the time I opened the door, I received many messages cursing me. Reading those messages, I felt angry, scared, my body trembling, feeling an unbearable cold.
Don't look.
Charles took my phone, his eyes full of concern. Before I could react, he suddenly hugged me. Perhaps because it was early morning, his embrace was a bit chilly, but it felt especially warm to me.
Lily, don't be afraid. I'm here.
Hearing those words, the tears I had been holding back suddenly fell all at once. I broke down, crying uncontrollably. After crying, I looked at Charles with red eyes, feeling a bit embarrassed. I just felt wronged. I hadn't done anything, yet I was scolded by so many people early in the morning.
But I'm not stupid. After analyzing it, I roughly understood what had happened. They kept calling me a homewrecker, even mentioning Lily by name. Apart from something related to Michael, I couldn't think of anyone else.
Fool.
Charles suddenly ruffled my hair and said helplessly,
It's Jessica.
Her? Why?
She posted an emotional short video on TikTok, and it went viral overnight. Because of the initials and the clear location, along with her hints in the comments, people from the same school figured out it was you. Some people are already blocking the entrance to your company. I heard about it and came to your place to check on you.
Charles sighed in relief as he spoke. I could see that he was genuinely worried about me.
What do you plan to do now?
Give me my phone.
What are you going to do?
I want to see how she portrayed me.
I'll give you mine. Your birthday.
I stiffened for a moment, pretending not to understand, and quickly opened the phone, navigating to TikTok. The trending video was Jessica's.
Ha! She depicted her love story with Michael beautifully, casting me as the dark figure in their romance. I was the homewrecker, ruining their beautiful relationship.
After reading it, I found it laughable. Although I liked Michael, I deliberately ran into him after they broke up. But we only got together because Michael confessed to me. They broke up because Jessica wanted to go abroad, but Michael and I broke up because of Jessica's interference.
Have you decided what to do?
Yes, she can write long posts, and so can I. I believe most people can distinguish right from wrong.
Good. Let me know when you're done writing. Don't worry about the rest. I'll help you respond to your friends. Don't worry.
Okay.
With him around, I felt inexplicably at ease. I started writing my long post from my days of secret admiration. In just a few thousand words, I covered my entire youth. During the days I was writing, the online harassment didn't stop. They continued to insult me online and block me at my company. They even cursed me at my doorstep. I didn't know how they got my address. I was furious but helpless. Fortunately, the community security was very effective. The guards threatened to call the police, and they finally stopped.
Finished writing?
Charles walked in with some food, seeing me stretching on the couch, and asked,
Yes, I'll post it soon.
Good, come eat. Michael couldn't reach you, so he bothered Emily. Do you want to call him back?
I was silent for a couple of seconds, then took the phone and removed Michael from the blacklist.
Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
My tone was calm. In just a few months, my feelings for him had shifted from joy to calm restraint. We both fell silent.
Lily, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I thought I loved Jessica, but I later realized that it was just youthful stubbornness. Now I understand that the person I truly love is you, but it's too late, and I've completely hurt you.
My eyes also began to redden. Not for him, but for myself.
I will give you an explanation for this.
Before I could respond, the call ended. Without thinking much, I started having dinner with Charles. Since I hung up the phone, Charles had been looking uneasy, glancing at me several times but saying nothing.
What's wrong?
Nothing, just eat.
After dinner, I posted a long essay online. With Jessica's popularity and Charles's operational skills, it quickly went viral. Many people were shocked and incredulous at the turn of events. About half an hour later, Michael also posted a long essay under his real name. His unbiased account confirmed that Jessica had falsely accused me. Some netizens began to apologize to me, some called Michael a jerk, and others criticized Jessica. My reputation was restored, and the company asked me to return to work, but I handed in my resignation. The day before I planned to travel, Jessica found me. Her face was pale, lacking her usual confidence.
Don't be smug. Michael has no loyalty to me. One day, he'll treat you the same way.
He won't have the chance. Jessica, it's been over between him and me for a long time.
But he gave up his future to testify for you. He couldn't even do that for me to go abroad.
Why? Perhaps because the person Michael loved most was himself.
I ignored her hysteria. I knew that Michael had been dismissed from his company for ruining his reputation. But what did that have to do with me? The next day, at the airport, I boarded a plane to another city. I didn't tell anyone about this trip, I just wanted to wander and see different landscapes. At the end of the first month of my travels, I suddenly developed a high fever and passed out in the hotel. By the time I was found, I was already delirious. I vaguely remember smelling a unique scent. It was faint, like mint. When I woke up, my fever had subsided. The nurse said I could be discharged after one more bottle of glucose. In the third month of my travels, I suddenly received a call from Charles.
Lily, the evidence is ready. Do you want to press charges?
Press charges for what?
Against those who hurt you.
It took me a moment to realize he was talking about those who had attacked me online. Looking at the information Charles sent, I was genuinely shocked. I hadn't expected him to gather evidence against everyone who had harassed me online, through phone calls, texts, or even in person. Including the instigator, Jessica.
Forget it. I didn't have the heart for it and didn't want to relive that time.
I knew you'd say that. Check out TikTok.
After he hung up, I curiously opened TikTok and found many people tagging me. Every video tagging me was an apology. Jessica also publicly apologized to me. At that moment, standing alone on the street, a warm breeze blew, filling my heart with warmth. I suddenly really wanted to see Charles. Just then, his call came. I sniffled and answered.
Lily, turn around.
I turned around in surprise, and there he was, standing in front of me, smiling warmly. He opened his arms, and I rushed into his embrace, the fresh mint scent from him filling my nose once again. Charles kissed my forehead and whispered gently,
Lily, I finally waited for you.